Alright, my name is Matt from OnTheRocks. This is OnTheRocks and I'm going to show you how to use it. So step one is to take the plastic container outside of the housing. If it gets a little bit tricky, you can lift up on one side and then the other to break it free, and then lift up just like that. It's pretty easy to get out. Then our next step is to fill the entire container all the way up with hot water. Now, I'll show you how to use both the one-part tray like the cubes and the two-part trays like the spheres. The trick with the spheres are you have to line them up so that all of the little posts line up, and then seal them so that it becomes completely sealed. Now, it's okay if you do this in the sink. It's nice because you can let it overflow, and then you don't have to worry about getting the right level of water in there. Just make sure that you squeeze all the way around the sides, and then also in all of the flat spots in between to get the trays completely together. And then you shouldn't see any gaps on the side or any significant gaps. Now that it's completely filled up, you'll notice that the water looks a little bit cloudy. The reason for that is because those are gas bubbles which otherwise would have been dissolved in the water, but because it's hot, they're all coming out of solution. So that's normal, it will clear up. Now you just take the tray and hold it by the center, and you can let it sink in naturally. And it will come to a nice equilibrium. Now, in order to make sure that the spheres are all the way filled up, you can come in here and take a look closer. You want to just tap on the top and make sure that you see little water bubbles coming out of all of the holes. That means that there's no more air bubbles stuck on the top of the container. And now, in order to make this easier to fit in your freezer without spilling, you can just grab one side of the tray and dump a little bit of the excess water out, so that and then just tap on the top to make sure it's completely filled again. And then all you have to do is drop it into the foam and put the whole thing in the freezer. So it'll take typically 16 to 24 hours depending on how hot your water is and how long and how cold your freezer is, but it will work. And then you'll have to tune into our next video for how to demold it, tips and tricks on demolding it and refining the process. But the one-part tray is actually even easier to do. So if we just take the sphere tray out, we'll fill this up a little bit more. It doesn't need to be filled as much for the sphere or the cube tray because it dropped in. But the same thing, you just let it drop and it will automatically level itself. Now, if you put too much water in, you're going to come in and take a look, you can see that it will sink and there's too much water over top of the dividers. So you just want to dump it out until you get it to be just about even with the top of the dividers. So a little bit less, and then that should be good. Now, one trick of using this is you want to make sure that it's sitting in here flat on the bottom, because if you accidentally have it in at an angle like that, what will happen is it traps a pocket of warm water up here, and it will cause this cube to grow out of the top of your mold. So just make sure it's down flat, and then the same thing, you just drop it in to the housing and throw the whole thing in the freezer. And that's it. Thanks for watching.